Welcome to another episode of the Body and Mind Sports Show. I am your host, The Mind, and with me is my co-host, The Body.
Pleasure to be here, Mind. Pleasure to be here.
Welcome to the show. Today, once again, it's still NFL season, so let's wrap up the divisional games, and we'll also look forward to the two conference games coming up this weekend. After that, we're going to do our NBA mid-year report card. Since we're basically at the halfway point of the season, we'll tell you the winners, the losers, and we have a team that we've labeled the Enigma. So stay tuned for that. And we will end our show with the epic and suck of the week. The moment we thought was epic, the moment we thought sucked. We have some worthy candidates for both.
Yeah, some interesting, different candidates this evening.
Yes, indeed. We are going through 4 different sports, actually, for Epic and Suck.
It's all about variety.
We love the variety. Got to diversify. It's like a good portfolio.
Yes, I've heard of good portfolios.
Yes.
I don't exactly have one, but I've heard of them.
No, I heard tell these things exist.
Yes.
Yes, the rumor.
Rumors run rampant. Someone has a good portfolio out there.
As foretold in legend. So, speaking of legendary, let's look at these 4 NFL divisional games we just finished enjoying. So, let's start off with Atlanta and Philadelphia. The Eagles, I was going to say Phillies. Wow, I'm already thinking baseball. The Eagles actually beat the Hawks, Atlanta Falcons. Man, why they have too many bird teams in that city?
Actually, there was an interesting stat I seen on one of the pre-game shows. I think it was the NFL Network one. And I believe, is it in the playoffs? That the home team when 2 bird teams meet was 9-0 going in. So now the home bird team is 10-0.
Oh, that's true.
There's a useless trend.
Well, so far it's working. The Eagles,
so far it's not that useless. Yeah,
so far it's bang on. The Eagles overcame the Falcons 15-10. How did you see this game playing out?
Full start a bit rocky, but they made a really good adjustment in Philadelphia. He used to be successful in the Chip Kelly offense a few years ago, which you line up and you have a run-pass option at the line of scrimmage. They didn't go the breakneck speed of the Chip Kelly offense, but they basically adjusted and used a system that Foles used successfully, and it worked. It was a great adjustment for them. On the other side, I thought both defenses played well. I mean, as much as Philly moved the ball, they did get held to, 15 points or something? It wasn't much. It was a pretty low-scoring game.
Yeah, 15-10.
Yeah.
So, only 10 points for Atlanta.
And Atlanta's offense, again, if it struggles. The end of the game, I know a lot of people talk about that roll right, and that's questionable.
Horrible.
And I heard someone make an observation yesterday morning, and when I heard this, it blew my mind. When Atlanta lined up for a touchdown, needing a touchdown last play, their fullback, Derek Coleman, good blocker, 2 receptions and two carries on the year. Nothing after week 8.
Sounds like he'd be perfect as a decoy.
Yeah, they split him out wide outside, bottom of your TV screen, wide left.
I'd fall for that.
Oh, I'd fall for that. I'd have my best corner over there to stop him.
I might even double cover him.
Yes, with linemen.
That is so crazy.
So, that's really going to distract the defense. You have Julio Jones over on the right, and you have Derek Coleman to draw attention away from Julio Jones on the left.
Perfect strategy. What could go wrong?
Bravo, what could go right? Well, apparently nothing. Thank you, Atlanta. We'll see you next year.
Oh, have they fired their offensive coordinator yet?
Not yet, but they should.
Oh, my Lord. Yeah, because that series, I was like a fan of neither team, but just being a fan of good football and watching a properly run offense, I was just disgusted by the play calling because literally, I don't know, were their running backs injured? Did I miss something here?
No, you just missed inferior play calling.
Because I was like, you have good running backs.
Yes.
is like, run the ball, man. You're like on the 9-yard line. Run it. Run it on first down. See what you get. You know, if you get a few yards, then at least it expands the playbook a little more. It means on second down you can run again, or then you can pass if you want.
And then even the last play, why would you limit Ryan to half the field when he can read the whole field?
Yeah.
It's something if you're like limiting the half the field if he's a threat to run in, but he wasn't really.
Yeah.
And then usually on that play, too, the one guy will be cutting at the back of the end zone. But no one was cutting at the back of the end zone.
No.
Two receivers, Jones and someone else, were close to each other.
Well, that's the incentive.
So two guys are close to each other, and a fullback is slung out who doesn't catch is out wide left.
Yeah. And to make like the most crucial play of the season, the play that you decide to call is this like float the ball over the receiver, hope that he jumps high enough to catch it, and then have to come down inbounds with only maybe like an inch to spare.
I mean, this is the type of play that only Buffalo should have been reserving for Kelvin Benjamin the week before.
Yeah, like Buffalo ran the same play. They ran the same offense. So yeah, Atlanta, I had them picked. I thought they were going to do the revenge tour this year and go to the Super Bowl.
I thought they may as well.
Yeah, but no. Instead, they literally just shot themselves in the foot. Yeah, better than Plaxico could ever do. They basically Plaxicoed themselves.
They Plaxicoed themselves. I like that.
So yeah, Atlanta.
At least Plaxico earned a ring first.
Thank goodness. So yeah, Atlanta. Yeah, you deserve to be knocked out because you just did not have the intelligence really to call any sane plays to get you a win.
No.
Speaking of insanity, Tennessee actually thought they could beat New England.
Yeah, I didn't think they could beat New England. I thought they'd give them a better game, and then when I was watching the game, it occurred to me, why would I ever think this? They can't cover backs. They can't cover tight ends. New England throws to backs and tight ends and everyone. As the game's progressing, I'm like, I don't even know why I thought this. Mm-hmm. Like, there's sometimes you're wrong, but it's like, yeah, at least, I had a reason for making that decision at the time. Team could stay within 13.5 points. But I'm looking at this like, I didn't even look at this game objectionably. Like, this is just a bad decision on my part.
And Tennessee, nothing was working.
Well, no, and I shouldn't have expected nothing to work. Mariota and he got sacked 8 times.
Yeah. Yeah, so he was like flat on his back all day. The running game was not happening. Passing game, as usual, is, again, questionable and suspect.
Oh, to say the least.
Yeah.
To say the least.
So it was a pretty easy 35-14 roll for New England.
Yeah.
And I don't think New England was really even pulling in a full effort either.
They looked like they just showed up. And
showed up, thanks for the win.
We'll move on next week.
Yeah, we're moving on to Jacksonville. Oddly enough, that's where we're going next. Jacksonville against Pittsburgh. America's team pulling it out 45-42. What happened here?
I had the under and both teams smashed the over. Individually. Blake Bortles puts up 45 points. Wow.
Well, the defense helped them with a few of those points.
They did.
And I think Leonard Fournette had about 3 touchdowns on his own.
Yeah, but Bortles did have a pretty strong game. He didn't win the game by himself, but he didn't make any of the Blake Bortles mistakes. Now, can he do that 2 weeks in a row? That's a big if, but wow. My 34-1 for Jacksonville to win the Super Bowl stays alive.
Nice.
I didn't have a super thought on it. I didn't put much on it, but yeah, it's still alive.
Yeah, so you were thinking that Jacksonville defense, who was like technically was the number 1 defense coming into this game, yet they allowed 42 points scored on them. Mm-hmm. But you're thinking that a lot of these 42 points was a result of Ben Roethlisberger just being a difficult to bring down beast.
Yeah, buying time in that. I mean, if they play the same way, I know a lot of people think if they play the same way against New England, they'll be in trouble. And at times they will be because Brady buys a bit of the time in the pocket and he'll exploit mistakes. But he's not going to buy the time and go schoolyard Roethlisberger did. And that's when Jacksonville got in trouble.
Yeah.
So it'll be an interesting matchup this upcoming week.
All right. So Pittsburgh, they're just simply a case of being overconfident.
There was talk of that, and I think DeCastro, one of their offensive linemen, commented, "How should we be looking at looking at New England?"
Mm-hmm.
This starts with Mike Tomlin. Remember, even a few weeks ago, he's looking ahead to New England.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, in the end, they kind of got what they deserved, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never overlook your opponent, especially this far into the playoffs, like a divisional game. Like, that's ballsy.
It's stupid.
And with that, we go to our last game that had an intriguing finish. New Orleans at Minnesota. Vikings pulling it out 29-24. What do we think of this game?
This one was a finish for the ages. You see this play over and over again for years, decades.
The Thrilla in Minnesota.
Apparently there was it a newspaper in New Orleans, I believe, had on the cover, they showed the play, and the cover was expletive. That was the headline.
Well, that was an expletive game for the Saints. What an insanity finish.
Wow.
Because I thought, I was watching it there, and with that last play to go, 10 seconds, fourth down, and just given how totally inept the Minnesota offense had been for the last couple of series, I figured there's no way. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not happening. They're not even catching this ball, and if they do, they'll somehow flub it and lose all the time. Like, never in 1,000 years that I think there was a hope of that last second play even succeeding.
No, that blew my mind. I thought I didn't think they were going to get in field goal range. I definitely didn't think they were getting a touchdown.
No, good on Diggs for when he caught the ball to have the presence of mind to realize that, hey, there's nobody in front of me. I don't need to go out of bounds. I can just keep going. Because that was definitely the thinking on everybody's mind, is that, catch the ball and quickly get out of bounds. So good on him for doing that. And
for once, an epic play actually works at the end of the game for Minnesota in the playoffs. Because their history in the playoffs, the Blair Walsh 27-yard miss, the Morton Anderson miss against Atlanta, the Brett Favre pick in overtime against the Saints, and in the mid-'70s, the original Hail Mary, Roger Staubach, for the Cowboys in the NFC Championship in Minnesota to Drew Pearson to knock them out. So for once, one of these last play of the game deals actually works for the Vikings in the playoffs.
It's about time.
Yeah.
Because, for when you have that many heartbreaks, it's pretty cruel if at some point you don't get one kind of swing your way.
Yeah.
So, good on Vikings, good on their fans to finally get one go on them. And, bad for the Saints. Feel bad for them. But, hey, you guys do have a Super Bowl. So you can still enjoy that. Minnesota ain't got nothing yet.
No.
So let's see where this game takes them. Deserving winner, you figure?
Deserving winner.
So with that is our wrap-up of the NFL Round 2 divisional games. Let's have a look now at the two conference games coming up. We have Jacksonville, New England, and Minnesota against Philadelphia. Starting with Jacksonville and New England. How do you see this one playing out?
Tough call. It's hard to go against New England, but, it's Bortles that worries me. Can you have two straight mistake-free games? Now, I know there's a logic out there that a team with Blake Bortles should not beat the Patriots, but I love that defense. And if the defense plays well enough, Mark Sanchez is one New England in the playoffs with the defense carrying them. So it's not completely out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, and quite frankly, I mean, we've seen Tom Brady can get frustrated in the past.
Oh, yeah, with a pass rush? Yes, he can. And you're getting a pass rush this week with that front four.
Yeah, so, I mean, getting a very aggressive defense that's just going to be in his face, hurrying him and frustrating him, like he can get frustrated.
And the other thing is, if your corners can play physical and disrupt timing, and those corners like to be physical and disrupt timing.
Yeah.
I think it's going to come down to a couple things for Jacksonville. 3 things: playing as mistake-free as possible. what you get from Bortles and Fournette this week. And on defense, because they play a lot of cover 3 and they play a lot of man-to-man, you got to play the bump and run man-to-man. Because if you sit back, even with the talent, Brady will pick you apart.
Yeah.
But if you come up and disrupt their timing with those corners, and that pass rush, it could be a hugely frustrating day for Brady.
Yeah, I think the same. I think basically that if they're going to win this, it's going to be the Jacksonville defense is going to win this for them. Mm-hmm. So they got to have
execution and scheme, and just don't make mistakes on offense. You're still going to have to score points.
Well, that's just it. I think literally their defense. I mean, their defense. If they have like a near flawless game, fairly perfect game, then yeah, the offense doesn't need to do anything real fancy. Just mistake-free football and just let Fournette run.
Yeah.
That's it. Mm-hmm. He'll run, get a touchdown or two, kick a field goal. Mm-hmm. The end. So you think Jacksonville has a realistic chance here?
I think they have a shot. The way I'm looking at this weekend is I like New England, but I think Jacksonville has a shot. I like Minnesota, but I think Philly has a shot, so I'm going to take both underdogs separately, and even if they just split and one of the underdogs comes through, I'll profit. That's a big if, because both favorites can win, but that's my plan of attack for this weekend.
All right. So looking at the other game then, Minnesota-Philly. Minnesota being the favorite, but Philly is at home, and you figure that home field advantage work in their favor?
Well, I really like the play calling that Philly did for Foles to get him back to a strong suit. Home field, I think, should help a bit. The other thing and here's what I think, because Minnesota is still a really good road team, but they're still not the same on the road as they are at home.
Yeah.
Specifically, that defense isn't the same on the road as it is at home. They are amazing at home. They're very good on the road, but there's a big jump from very good to amazing.
Yeah.
So Philly's got a shot here. By the way, I think Philly also has the better place kicker, and if it's a close game, there you go.
Yeah, and Minnesota, given their history with late last-minute field goals, I don't think they want to put it in their foot of their kicker.
Though Forbath came through last week when they first jumped ahead before the Saints grabbed the lead back, but Forbath. But you count on that 2 straight weeks.
Forbath sounds like such an imposing name, Forbath.
He just sounds like a victim of Conan. Prospective victim of Conan.
Conan Forbath. Conan Crush Forbath. All right, and with that is our look at the conference matchups in the NFL.
Ironic that comes into play considering we're talking about Vikings and such. Not that Conan's a Viking, but that old general conquering era thing.
Yeah, well, he's a barbarian, and we know that all Vikings are barbarians.
This is true.
Boof. So, that is our look at the NFL games this week. Next, since it is mid-season in the National Basketball Association, why don't we take a look at that?
Hey, basketball.
And let's give them a report card.
Hey, pass, fail, bunch of teams we won't bother talking about, because when you're average in the NBA, it doesn't mean anything.
It just doesn't matter.
You're not contending, you're not fighting for a playoff position, or not fighting for a draft position, so average doesn't mean anything in the NBA.
Exactly. It's like The Rock used to say, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
So, let's start positively. Let's look at who the teams that we think are this year's winners. Teams that are doing well or doing better than we expected. So we've hand-picked a number of games.
Another handcrafted list.
Another handcrafted list.
We haven't done this in weeks.
Lovingly picked for you.
Passionately. For the peeps.
For the peeps. For the people. So, as in our list of winners, let's start off with the Boston Celtics. Celtics are back.
High expectations. Gordon Hayward goes down week 1. It doesn't matter. This team keeps rolling. Brad Stevens, Kyrie Irving. Say what you want about Kyrie thinking the earth is flat. The guy can still flat out ball. They've got some good young players. Brad Stevens is up there maybe with or just behind Popovich as the best coach in the league. Yeah, amazing year for them.
And basically, they're doing it with a whole lot of stingy defense.
They are.
Celtics basically are the best defense in the league by far. So, yeah, Great defense, basically taking them through. And Kyrie Irving kind of proving that, yeah, he can lead a team to greatness and victory.
He can.
That's good news. I'm glad to see a team like the Celtics kind of back up on top.
So am I.
The Raptors, that's another team we have as a winner.
Yeah, they've played about as well or a bit better than expected. I believe this might be the best start in franchise history.
Mm-hmm.
Still have to prove themselves in the playoffs at the end of the year, but encouraging that they seem to be sharing the ball more on offense this year, and hopefully they can continue.
Yeah, another great record, second in the Eastern Conference, 30-13. And now they've been doing this. They've been stringing a number of years now, like 3-4 years now.
Something like that.
Basically being in the top 3 of the East Division, East Conference.
And Serge Ibaka bringing an element of fight to this team.
Yes, that's a beautiful thing. Finally, that's what we need. And obviously it's spreading because even Kyle Lowry is now challenging people to fights outside of the arena.
I like to see that in the team.
Yeah.
I know there's some people who are sour on that. I love it.
Yeah, you need to have some grit. You need grit if you're going to do
a little sandpaper, a little elbow grease, a little a little attitude.
Absolutely. You need an attitude adjustment.
That's right.
So good on them. Speaking of attitude, Philadelphia, that's a fighting city.
That is.
And looks like the 76ers are also starting to creep back up again.
They're right outside the playoff picture. They have 2 super promising players with Simmons and Embiid.
Mm-hmm.
Fultz, their first overall pick this year, his shot has just been horrible. It looks like he may end up being a bust. Simmons and Embiid are talented enough to carry that franchise for years. The big question right now, though, I'm lukewarm on Embiid staying healthy. I don't think he ever is going to stay healthy. If he can, that's great, but that's a big if, and it's an if I don't believe it.
Yeah, and especially since it's his back that's been giving him issues. And even, quite a number of games now where he literally in the middle of the game has to take himself out so he can lay down on the floor for a few minutes to get it to recover.
Mm-hmm. This is stuff you're seeing from Larry Bird late in his career.
Yeah, so it is a concern that somebody that young is having such issues like that. Hopefully, whatever it is, team doctors can figure it out and get this straightened out, because it'd be sad to see such a super talented player like that not be able to play to his full potential.
Mm-hmm.
So let's hope that medical science, medical miracle will save the 76ers.
I'd agree, because that team suffered for so long. That's another team you'd like to just see be successful.
They have, yeah. That team has been brutally horrifying, having winning percentages in the 300s or even the 200s.
Yeah, I've seen the higher batting averages in MLB.
Yep.
And that team's winning percentage. That just should be happening.
Exactly. So, the fighting city of Philadelphia, they need a Rocky-like moment here. They need to get some goodness because of all their teams. The Flyers have been struggling for the last few years. The Phillies have been struggling. Horrifying. And, 76ers.
The Eagles are coming around now, but there's been issues there and playoff failures when they were good. And
yeah. So, that's a bit of a beatdown for that city, so they could use some joy.
That city actually hasn't enjoyed a professional championship since the Phillies won. What year did the Phillies win?
Oh God, wasn't that in the 70s or something?
Well, no, they had the one year when they won with Halladay and Ryan Howard and all those guys. Did they win one with those guys?
Did they win with them?
No, they got there and they lost.
I don't think they ever won with Halladay.
No, they haven't won since the World Series in.
Wasn't that
1980?
Schmidt?
Mike Schmidt and Steve Carlton. 1980.
Yeah, so we're talking 38 years ago.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. They might have won again in 82 or 83. That's still 30 some odd years ago.
Yeah, so we're talking a lot of losing. And the Flyers, they haven't won since the 70s.
75.
Eagles.
Never won the Super Bowl era. Haven't won since 1960 any NFL championship.
And the 76ers?
82, I believe. Somewhere around there.
Yeah,
Dr. J. Moses Malone.
Yeah, so this has been a long time for Philadelphia. So we're pulling for you, 76ers. On to a team, though, that has some recent success. Oakland. Otherwise known as the Golden State Warriors.
Oh, their success. They just keep winning, and
they've done okay. They're good kids. They try hard.
They try hard. They have potential.
They got potential. They have a fairly stingy 36-9 record for a 800 winning percentage. I don't think I've ever actually seen a team with 800 winning percentage outside of a video game.
Actually, if you think about it, right now, that's not far behind the pace of their 74-win year.
Mm-hmm.
And they seem to be on autopilot this year in doing it.
Yeah.
That year, they're trying to break a record. This year, they're in autopilot, and they're almost on pace to hit it again.
Well,
there's even nights when they're resting players with so-called injuries, and they're just on autopilot.
Well, the frightening thing is, people say, Golden State winners. Well, yeah, duh, that's obvious. Well, I swear, I think this team just is getting better every year. Because right now, they're number one in points per game, number one in assists, number one in blocks, number one in field goal percentage, and that's just on offense. On defense, they have just defensive, as far as defensive rating, they have the fourth best defense in the league. They're kind of doing it on both sides.
Honestly, the last time I've seen dominance like this in a sport, and it was the year before I was watching sports, but I heard about it and read about it, you'd have to go to the 1977-78 Montreal Canadiens, who
5-6 Stanley Cups in a row. Then
that was their fourth Stanley Cup in a row run. I think that was year number 3, and they went 60 wins, 8 losses, and 12 ties. Now, I know that Golden State had their 74-win year, but they didn't win a championship. I know the Bulls won 73 in a championship, but I still don't think that was as dominant as this, in my opinion. And even the Detroit Red Wings that won, 62 or something, and beat Montreal's record. That's different because they won games because there was overtime that they wouldn't have had when the Habs won their 60 without the benefit of overtime in that era. So this, to me, is the most dominant team I've seen in a sport. And that team was leading goals and goals against. This, to me, is the most dominant season since the 77-78 Habs in hockey.
Yeah, total agreement. And it's actually a thing to actually admire, just the team being this unbelievably good.
Everywhere. Offense, defense. There is no chink in the armor.
No, there's nothing. It's and the fact, just looking at the points leaders, I was actually surprised to see 2 Golden State Warriors in the top 5.
Oh, Curry and Durant?
Klay Thompson.
Klay Thompson?
Klay Thompson for average points.
What's he at? Because he's really good. I didn't think he'd
38. 38 average points.
What?
Klay Thompson.
What?
38, and Steph Curry with 30 average points. So, we have 2. So, we've got some, serious, pretty much scoring all over the place.
Well, it's Thompson, Durant, Curry, Iguodala. I don't even know if he's starting to come off the bench, but he can score. He's great defensively. He still can score a bit.
Yeah. So Golden State, watch out.
And how can you forget Draymond Green?
Yeah, he's all right. Yeah,
he's
a good kid. He's maybe, 5th on that team. He's all right. He tries hard.
He's second on a lot of teams.
He'd be first on a lot of teams.
That's true.
Never mind. That's how deep this team is. One team that's going to be hoping to put a dent in their championship run is the Rockets, Houston. We have them also as a big-time winner this year. They're number 2 in the Western Conference. You like Mr. Harden and company?
I hear a lot of people talking about how they could challenge Golden State. I don't think so. I still consider them winners here, but I don't think they're challenging. Though I do say I think they'll challenge Golden State more than Cleveland will if Cleveland gets there. But I still think Golden State walks through in the playoffs. I think it's one of those things, you go in the series, there's lots of hype, and then Golden State beats them 5 or maybe 6 max.
Yeah. Yeah, no...
if not even the sweep.
Yeah.
The sweep is possible. I'd go 5 I would go 5.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't disagree either, because, it's for as good, and it's frightening, because Houston is a really, really good team.
If there wasn't Golden State there, they'd be the championship forerunner most other years.
Yeah.
And here I can't even see them winning more than a game against that juggernaut.
That's the thing. Normally, Houston would be the team that everybody else is chasing by far. And, because Golden State is so video game dominant that you can't even envision it.
No. I think they have a three or four game gap in the standings roughly, but to me there's more than that between the two teams.
Yeah. Another team that we are pleasantly surprised that their rebuilding plan is starting to take shape is the Timberwolves.
Hey, Canada's team.
Canada's team. Andrew Wiggins and company. We are liking this team.
We are. We called it Canada's team a few years ago, and they had Andrew Wiggins and was that Anthony Bennett, and then Bennett was a complete bust. But
yeah.
Hey, Wiggins is still there, so
that's right. He's still there, and he's not alone now. He's finally gotten himself some help.
It took a while for this team to kind of meld together, but they look like they're coming around now.
Yep, and it's a young team.
I'm going to say this though: I don't think this team's going to be young for long.
Yeah.
I heard something a few weeks ago somewhere, and I thought there was a good point about this. When you look at Thibodeau in Chicago, there's talk he's playing starters too much. And when you look at the evidence of all the good players they had in Chicago who burnt out early from injuries, you think about it now. Joakim Noah, he's really not super old, but he's pretty much done. Taj Gibson isn't what he used to be. Derrick Rose is pretty much done.
Yeah.
He's not that old, but he's done like he's that old.
Yeah.
And the fact I think Thibodeau plays his starters too long. Doesn't play his bench enough.
Right.
That's the big thing in Chicago, and I think it's why he's out.
Yeah.
And now it looks like there could be something to it. So this window, Minnesota, even though it's young, may not be there as long as everyone thinks, because Towns and Wiggins might not be playing at a high level as long as everyone thinks.
Right.
If Thibodeau rides them in the ground for too many years.
And there has been rumors anyway about the Toronto Raptors wanting to make a big-time free agent bid for Andrew Wiggins and to bring him back home, basically. So I think Wiggins becomes a free agent 2 years from now, maybe. So, yeah, even though it's 2 years away, the Raptors apparently have had this plan in the back burner already for a while, and they've been getting ready for this. So who knows how much longer Andrew Wiggins will even be in Minnesota.
That would work out well, because even though they're different positions, in about 2 years, Lowry will probably be done. So you're going to need another star player of some type there.
Right. Yeah, and it's a pretty nice replacement.
Yeah. And I like Fred Van Fleet at point guard anyway, so by that time you might have your replacement for Lowry if they think Van Fleet could start, and have Van Fleet, DeRozan, and Wiggins.
Yeah. It's a pretty nice team.
That is.
But right now, we are enjoying the Timberwolves. And the last team we have listed on our winner pile is the Pelicans. Nolans.
Look at Cousins.
Cousins and Davis.
Yeah.
They're being a formidable Batman and Robin.
Considering they don't have much else for help, and Davis gets hurt sometimes, they're still above 500.
Yep. Well, this was a team that... I know last year after they made the trade, I was like shocked that this is where Cousins ended up going, given that you figured that if he was going to be traded last season, it was going to be to some contending team. So the fact that he went to a team that was out of the playoffs and had little chance of getting in, but I thought, okay, well, let's watch him next year. There's a full season out of Anthony Davis and Cousins. I thought that that's going to be actually a pretty good duo.
Actually, I heard a good observation a couple of weeks ago by someone. I thought this is just awesome. But I don't think New Orleans has anyone to trade for the guy, because they've traded draft picks.
Right.
Go pick up Marc Gasol. Hardly anyone else has a big guy. They would have three big guys. No one would know how to handle it in the league these days. Go old school. And yet all three of these guys, even though they're big, can still do the modern three-point shooting thing.
That's true.
But no team would know how to handle this.
That would be interesting to have
just a four group of. This be like 1990s New York Knicks, except
that'd be interesting. Is putting together a 90s style basketball team full of giants and hard-nosed, elbow-throwing players.
Yeah, and the good thing is they're not as crazy as those guys, so they're not going to foul as much as those guys would in this kind of era.
Right.
So they're big and skilled. Yeah, no one would know how to handle it because no one's built like that.
No, yeah, it's true, and especially that'd be the crazy thing. You got a team like Golden State. Like right now, New Orleans actually in 7th in the Western Conference. Mm-hmm. But pretty much tied with Portland and Denver. So really, what if New Orleans were to go up against the Golden State Warriors, who are a small team?
Yeah.
Could that be a crazy enough thought that these group of giants could actually completely disrupt this small, quick team.
Well, it makes sense, and I'm going to say why. Because I know Houston's kind of built similar to Golden State, and it's worked out for them. But I have this theory, and I'm going to get into a bit of history too, another sport, but kind of a parallel thing. You can't build like Golden State, so why are other teams trying? Mm-hmm. You should be building the opposite as much as you can, or something to counter. Don't try to build like them, because you can't do it. I mean, Houston's come much closer than anyone thought, but you can't do it. It was like, for a lot of people don't know, the younger people won't know the history, older people will. Back in the 1980s in the NHL, the Edmonton Oilers had this ridiculous offense with Hall of Fame players. Mm-hmm. Wayne Gretzky, Paul Coffey, Mark Messier, Glenn, just a bunch of offensive players and speed. Yep. And teams were influenced and tried to build like them. It's like, why? You can't match them. You have to try to build to counter them. And the only teams that really had success against them, the main team was Calgary Flames. Wasn't a lot of success because they were countered to them. Because you obviously, it's hard enough to build a talented team. How are you going to build the exact same model that was hard to build in the first place? You should be building to counter that, not copy them. Because you can't copy that.
Yeah, that's true, because a team like Golden State, just like the Oilers were back then.
You're not getting another Gretzky. You're not getting another Durant. You're not getting another Curry. You're not getting another Messier.
Well, that's the thing. These are literally once-in-a-generation teams that, it's like all the stars aligned at the right time, at the right place. And, this is literally a once-in-a-generation. You have players this supremely talented that just happen to be on the same team. Mm-hmm. And it's true. It's like fighting the wind. You can't. The wind's just going to blow. You just got to find a way to make it work for you.
All it's going to do is blow off your face and all around you.
Yep. So it's a good point. In this case, don't follow the Joneses.
Create your own path.
Create your own path. So that is our look of winners. So let's look at the other side of the coin. Losers! Teams that we are so unbelievably disappointed that they merit our disdain, our hatred, and our revileness. I think that's a word.
Close enough.
Let's start with OKC. There's a loser this year, even though they have a winning record.
24-20. Could you be any more generic with that talent? Russell Westbrook, Paul George, and Carmelo Anthony. I really think they'd be better off if Carmelo was coming off the bench, but I just don't think that'd work with Carmelo's ego. I think Carmelo should be playing the Dwayne Wade role that Dwayne Wade's playing in Cleveland, giving them a spark off the bench.
Yeah. So, right now...
Because there's only one ball, but there's also one Westbrook and one Anthony.
Yeah.
And I think Westbrook... Because George is good offensively. He's great defensively, too. But with Westbrook and George, I think George is okay playing second fiddle as long as he gets opportunities. So if you got a guy like Westbrook, there'll still be a few chances left for George. Mm-hmm. Even with Anthony being the ball hog he is, there's still a few chances for George. It's once you get Carmelo and Westbrook on the floor together... And then there's even less opportunities for Paul George because both these guys want the ball.
Yep. Now, here's the goofy thing, though, with Oklahoma. They got off to a poor start, terrible start. They've managed to turn around a little bit lately, and now they've actually gotten over 500. Mm-hmm. Could this be a team that is just took a little longer for these three players to gel together?
It could be. And it could even be coaching, because maybe there's a way to use them all effectively together. It just hasn't been found, too.
Yeah.
And like you said, they are winning now, so maybe they continue to progress, and maybe they actually do become what some more optimistic people thought. Because there was two camps on this, and there wasn't really anything in between.
Right.
There's the highly optimistic camp that they could contend with Golden State, not be better than them, but at least make it tough for them. Mm-hmm. And there was the other camp that thought this might be just a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah. So we'll see how it shakes out. So far we have them as a disappointment because we were expecting them to roll out just crushing people, but who knows? Maybe they're going to be that sneaky come from out of nowhere team to surprise everybody. Mm-hmm. But team that we know is the next team that we know is firmly in the doghouse is Memphis Grizzlies. Team with a truly wretched and terrible record, 14-28 so far, second last in the Western Conference, or Eastern Conference. No, Western Conference. Western Conference?
Western Conference.
Why are they in the West? Memphis is in the East.
Well, it's kind of in the middle.
Middle? No, what? I got to get a map. How do you explain this team?
Well, they fired their coach early in the year when they got off to a bad start.
Yeah.
And he was well respected around the league because players are actually tweeting from other teams that this guy shouldn't be fired.
Oh, so you need to fire somebody like that.
We can't allow competency to run amok here.
Respect what? Out of our locker room.
We can't have stability here. Have you lost your mind?
Stability is a 4-letter word.
And then really they have two really good players and not much. And those two really good players have been injured off and on, Mike Conley and Marc Gasol. And then you're in the West too with marginal talent. So good luck with that. So yeah, just a disaster, one disaster after another waiting to happen.
That is true. The West shows no mercy to anyone. Another team that has also showed no mercy to its fans with their losing record. Once again, the Phoenix Suns. Again in our list of losers. 16-29, 11th spot in the Western Conference. Nowhere near a playoff spot.
No.
They have one player. So that's kind of good, I guess.
It's more than none.
Devin Booker, I guess it's better than no players. Phoenix, what's happening here? Any idea?
Lack of talent. They're out west, and Phoenix is technically in the desert, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, it's about suitable for them because this team should be in a desert.
Yep. It's amazing because it used to be a competent, winning, championship-worthy franchise, but incredibly poor drafting, incredibly poor trading, incredibly poor everything has just decimated this roster to basically a bunch of like ham and eggers and Sunday leaguers, as they would say in the English Premier League.
And Devin Booker.
And Devin Booker. So, yeah, hopefully this summer league team will finally turn around and draft a player or two and get back to some winning ways, because that would make me happy, being a Suns fan. However, the next team makes me very happy to see them in the losers pile. Lakers.
LeVar Ball. The Oracle. The man who predicted his son for Rookie of the Year. Lakers to win 50 and go to the playoffs. I'm glad this man doesn't have access to my betting account.
Did he say when they would make the playoffs and when they would win 50 games?
I believe he said this would all happen this year.
This year.
This year.
Well, calendar year, January through December. So they could win, some games.
This season.
From now until, this season. Oh.
That was my belief.
Because, 50 games. I mean, eventually every team will win 50 games, even the Nets.
They've been so awful, he's exiled himself to Lithuania.
That's true, yeah. The new Lithuanian team that his other two sons are playing is no doubt playing much more exciting basketball than the Lakers are right now.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, if we're 34 games into the schedule, so we're just a few games under the halfway mark.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, if the Lakers could go, I don't know, about 35-3 or something the rest of the way, they could still hit 50 wins.
Hey, that can happen. And then beat the Golden State Warriors in 4 straight.
Oh, of course.
Of course. All right. The LA LeVars. Go, go, go. Let's switch over to the other side of the country and Brooklyn. There's another team we have as one of our losers. Should we just save a place for the Nets here in perpetuity?
The Nets are so bad that the only thing I think of Brooklyn now is like reruns of Welcome Back, Kotter.
This is a team that really is in trouble for a while because they have traded away multiple years of high draft picks
to try to go all in a
to
few years
go
ago.
all in. What, 3 years back?
Is it 3 or is it a bit more now? It might be 3, but it seems like so much longer.
Oh, it does. Because I think even Cleveland right now holds a number 1 pick. I think this upcoming NBA draft's like the first round pick of Brooklyn.
That franchise is still suffering from those trades.
Like, it's incredible. The Cleveland Cavaliers of all teams are going to have a Brooklyn's first round draft pick. That's unbelievable.
They might need it though if LeBron leaves.
Yeah, but still, this is a championship-ready team with a high number 1 pick, and yet Brooklyn has nothing of the sort.
Nothing, no future, no present, no nothing.
That is, yeah. Brooklyn fans, be patient because this is going to take a while. But that's what you get when you steal that team from New Jersey. Karma.
Yes.
Another team that we have as a terrible disappointment this year are the Atlanta Hawks. What happened here? This used to be a competent team even last year.
Yeah, I think they've just been gradually losing talent. They've lost Horford and Millsap, and I can't even remember who else at this point. So just the gradual loss of talent's eventually just caught up with them.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a team that was kind of like...
Teague to Minnesota as well.
Yeah.
Like, they've just been losing guys bit by bit.
And they were kind of stuck in this, like, limbo for many years there where they were kind of like, good team. They're, like, a little above average. And
that's a horrible place to be in the NBA, though. So maybe this has been a conscious decision just to finally tank and try to rebuild.
Yeah. Yeah, because, they were kind of, like, really going nowhere. They'd be competitive. They would make playoffs, but they really weren't getting any better. The team wasn't improving. So, yeah. Maybe that is what's happening here. Maybe it is the full-on tank job is on. The record indicated 13-31 at .295 winning percentage.
Consistency.
That spells
consistently losing.
Tank to me. And our last loser of the season are the Milwaukee Bucks.
The team of the future.
Team of the future. They do have a winning record. They currently are in a playoff spot with 23-20, but us and I think the world was expecting so much more.
Yeah, well, they have a couple other good players around the Greek Freak, but they don't have much else. And Jason Kidd as a coach, he's made some awful moves this year.
Oh, he is not. Ever since he stopped playing, it's not been good. I defy you to say the Greek's name.
That's why I went with the Greek Freak. I am defied.
And to Tata Kappa.
Greek Freak.
It's like, I cannot say this man's name. Like, he needs a nickname.
There's something to be said when someone who speaks 4 languages can't even cover this dude's name.
I got no chance here. Like,
I can hardly handle English, so I'm sticking with the Greek Freak.
So we're they had especially given that they gave like a really worthy scare to the Raptors last year in the playoffs, and people thought that this is a team that's on the rise and watch out for them next year. So I don't know, maybe they might still come out and surprise us, but right now, failing grade.
Yeah, I think it'll be next year. They got to get rid of Jason Kidd at the end of the year and maybe pick up one more good player, a little bit of depth or something.
Yeah. And the last team that we're going to look at is they're not a winner, they're not a loser.
They're the enigma, the mystery, the riddle, the Cleveland Cavaliers.
That's exactly right. So why does Cleveland frustrate us so much? Why can we not categorize this team?
Because it's LeBron James and a whole lot of, But yet in the East.
Yeah.
I'm convinced there's no way this team's winning a championship this year. But the question is, does LeBron carry him to the championship? Or does it catch up to him this year and someone else knock him off on the way?
Yeah, so I guess that's the thing with this team. Despite having like some pretty good talent on there,
the 2010 All-Star team.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. It is a case where, if anything happens to LeBron, like, is this even a 500 team?
No.
Yeah. Cleveland. So, with LeBron, they'll always be a contender because I think he's still, like, the best player in the league
I
still.
agree with that, yeah.
But yeah, without him, this team is back to being a laughing stock. Which is why we can't classify them.
I'm having trouble seeing them stay in Cleveland next year with the mess they are.
Yeah. Well, that'll be one to watch then.
I know I got mad. I was a little disappointed the first time he left in Cleveland. I was more mad with the way he left, because when you're free agents, you're right to do what you want. But I truly, really wouldn't blame the guy if he wanted to bowl Cleveland this time.
Yeah.
Like with LeBron, I kind of have a love-hate relationship. There's some things I think he gets a bad rap for. There's some things where I think he gets a free pass.
Yeah.
I think he's obviously polarizing. There's things I think LeBron lovers give him a free pass. LeBron haters spite him on stuff he doesn't deserve and give him a bad rap. I think with me, it's a case-by-case thing. But no, fairness, that guy, he needs to get out of Cleveland at the end of the year. He needs to go somewhere else.
Yeah, well, I think as well there's a prevailing thought that LeBron, the GM, is going to step in the next week or two and start demanding some moves.
Good luck, though.
To strengthen the team this year.
What you get rid of? Who wants Derrick Rose?
Well, like I say...
unless you trade draft picks, which you might do, but if he leaves, you need those draft picks.
That's the thing.
This might be a time where if I'm the real GM, I just overrule LeBron.
Yeah, and... that'll then depend on who does the owner side with, which would be a bad scenario for the owner because either way he probably can't win.
Him and LeBron don't get along anyways.
Yeah.
So
that'll be interesting to watch. So that's our mid-year report card for the NBA. So we get to our last segment of the show, which is our epic and suck of the week. Moment we thought was epic, moment we thought sucked. Buddy, let's have your epic and suck.
Yeah, we didn't even have anything to fight about this week. It was a very peaceful week.
Peaceful.
It was
peaceful.
I could tell that'll probably go out the window next week. I know in a couple weeks we have something coming up where it's just going to break out into an outright cage match.
Absolutely.
So anyways, for now though, my epic like of the week deals with Korea. Yes, Korea. So apparently North and South Korea will be uniting for the opening ceremonies, or the march in the opening ceremonies. And I believe they're uniting to actually field a women's ice hockey team.
Nice.
So I actually find that quite encouraging. They're going to march together at the opening ceremony. I don't know if that goes for the closing ceremonies too. And they're going to... believe under a unification flag. Well, not unification, because they're not seeing... Yeah, it is a unification flag, depicting the peninsula during the opening ceremony.
Nice.
So, I never thought I would have seen that.
No, me neither. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done, Koreas.
my epic suck was play calling in the NFL playoffs last week. I can't remember. Pittsburgh on 4th and 1. It's like I can't remember the last time I've seen Ben Roethlisberger try quarterback sneak. I think it would work. Todd Haley apparently leaving Pittsburgh. Yeah, that's a good idea, and that's not sarcasm on my part. Mm-hmm. And the other thing, the end of the Atlanta-Philadelphia game. This was a puzzling play call. Not just the sprint right to Julio Jones, but at the bottom of the screen, wide left. And you see backs line up at wide receiver sometimes in a formation. But on your biggest play of the year, the Falcons fullback, Derek Coleman. 2 receptions, 2 carries on the year, nothing after week 8. Let's sling him out wide left in the formation. That should draw attention away from everyone. Apparently not. Way to go, Sarkisian. Questionable play calling right to the bitter end of the year. Right till the bitter end. That's my epic suck.
It's a worthy suck as well. Because, it's pretty bad when you look at these calls sitting on your couch, and you can see what's coming. So you got to figure that, I think pretty sure a defensive coordinator does this for a living. He probably knows what's coming too. He probably knows how to cover it.
They're going to the fullback. No,
I don't think so. No, I'm good. So, excellent. No, good epic and suck. Yeah, Korea's combined.
I'm looking forward to your epic and suck, especially your suck is really epic.
Well, we'll start with my epic, and of course, that would be Andrew McCutchen going to the Giants. So even though I am a Pittsburgh Pirates fan, nothing makes me happier than seeing someone who's been as loyal as Andrew McCutchen, who's been with the Pirates through absolute misery year after year, being on a budget team with a tight-fisted, tight-wad owner who refuses to spend a single dollar on this franchise, who literally does everything he can to just make money for himself and give nothing to the actual team to improve it. Happiness and joy to see him go to a team that actually cares about winning. So, good on Andrew McCutchen. He deserves it. He's been a loyal Pirate. And I would think that every single Pirate fan out there has to be happy for him to finally see him have a shot at the World Series.
And even though I'm a Cubs fan, I have a rooted interest in the Giants as of today, because right before this show, I took the Giants at 29-1 to win the World Series.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So yeah, so it's and realistically, the Giants team is going to are not a bunch of bums. Even though last year they played like it.
Well, you get Baumgartner back healthy this year. Cueto's still there, and they just picked up Evan Longoria a couple weeks ago.
Yep, and really, like last year as well, and the pitching staff, like I think Jeff Samardzija had a poor season. Much more was expected out of him. He's a good, competent pitcher. They still got Buster Posey there. Like, this is a good lineup. Mm-hmm. So there is hope. Well done. Well done, Andrew. Good luck with the Giants. Go Giants. My suck of the week. We travel all the way to the old continent.
Oh, I'm even applauding this beforehand. This is brilliant.
And we go to the French Ligue 1, which is the French First Division League, the highest division in French soccer. And this past weekend, division leaders and multiple-time champions, Paris Saint-Germain, a team from Paris, was going up against Nantes. And during the game, one of the Nantes defenders, Diego Carlos, he was running up to join the play. His team was attacking, so he's running up to join the play to provide some support. And the referee, name of Tony Chaperon, kind of running alongside him, basically gets in the way of the non-player. Player bumps into him, knocks the ref to the ground. The ref, after falling to the ground, instinctively kicks at the non-player who just knocked him down. Which I had never seen a ref do that before. Outside of the WWE, of course. As the only other league where I've ever seen a ref actually attack a competitor.
There it's encouraged.
There it's encouraged. So the ref did a WWE-style kick, boot to the shin. The player stopped, looked at him like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing kicking me in the shin for? Ref gets up, and for this player challenging him, gave him a red card and threw him out of the game. So this ref interfered with the play, kicked up an active player, physically kicked him, and then threw him out of the game by giving him a straight red card.
A hat trick.
A hat trick of absolute suckage. So obviously everyone, this play was spread throughout the league, the world. Everyone was absolutely disgusted by it. The team owner spoke out against this instantly after the game. The coach, pretty much every player in Europe texted, tweeted their disgust for this referee. The French Soccer Federation called an emergency meeting the very next morning to deal with this issue, and they have since indefinitely suspended this referee. And chances are, I haven't heard if they've done it yet, but chances are they're also going to undo the red card that he gave this player. But well done, Tony Chaperon. Interfere with play, kick a player, and then throw him out.
I'm surprised that WWE hasn't already made this guy an offer.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming. So yeah, Tony Shepard.
What you got to do is you got to hire this guy and then make him some heel's personal referee. Screw over.
No, he's got to be a referee in one of the matches.
Well, no, he's a ref in the match, but he's like, remember how Alberto Del Rio had his own personal ring announcer?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
that's
so you have some heel who has his own personal referee because he doesn't like.
He doesn't trust.
He doesn't trust the system, so he has his own corrupt referee in every one of his matches.
It sounds like a Kevin Owens move.
It kind of does, actually. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn.
Sami Zayn.
Hey, Quebec guys, so they speak French too, so there's a mini connection there.
Hey, I think we found our match.
I think we did, yeah.
Because they're already like fighting against authority. Because them and Shane McMahon are already having a battle so far. So. Yeah, I could see them that, we don't trust any referee that Shane McMahon throws us. They're all corrupt and all against us. So
they bring their own corrupt referee.
Yes, friends, two wrongs do make a right. So on that epic note, that is our show for the week. Bonnie, thanks again for a great show.
Been a pleasure being here again. Yeah, thanks.
As always. So yeah, please do like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks again for listening to another episode.